Okay, so welcome to our workshop on how to present at a conference. My name is Diogo Pinheiro. I'm the CURCA Assistant Director, and here with me here today is Alison Grundell, who also works with CURCA. You can reach out to either of us with any questions that you have after the fact. And so what I want to cover today are the three types of presentations that are possible at CURCA, and to kind of go over a little bit the expectations for each, right? So we have the annual research conference coming up. Acceptance notices should be going out soon. And we are going to be talking about presenting at the ARC, but most of the stuff that we talk about here should be applicable to other conferences, right? But so the ARC, the great thing about the ARC is that it's an internal conference, meaning that you're going to be presenting to other UNG students, other UNG faculty who are going to be friendly, who are going to have kind of your best interests, your career in mind, right? It's going to be a more personal, more close-knit community, right? It doesn't require you to travel, or at least not to travel far, right? There's no registration fees. So this is a really good practice for other conferences that you might be interested in participating. It's free, it's open to the public. If you want to invite your friends, your family, everybody, those are all fine with the ARC. So the ARC, once again, takes place on March 29th. And there's going to be three different types of presentations that will happen during the ARC. We're going to talk about oral presentations, paper presentations, and poster presentations, right? Oral and paper presentations are very similar, but we'll get to that in a second. So one of the possibilities at the ARC, and it's something that you would have indicated when you submitted your abstract, is if you're interested in doing an oral presentation. So the way that oral presentations work is that we're going to take your paper and papers similar to yours, and we're going to put them in a panel, generally 3 to 4 papers in a panel. That panel is going to last an hour, which will give each presenter between 10 to 15 minutes to present. And so in our presentations, the more common way of doing it is to have a PowerPoint to go along with what you're talking, right? You can be presenting it as an individual, or as a part of an authorship team. And so the way that will happen is that you go up, you present, and as you're presenting, the moderator is going to be keeping track of time. So the moderator will tell you, oh, you have 5 minutes left, you have 3 minutes left, you have 1 minute left, so that you can stay within that 10 to 15 minutes. The idea here is that you would give kind of a general overview of your research project, right? You would start out by mentioning, this is the big reason why this topic is interesting. Here's what I've done. Here's what we can conclude. And then at the end of that, you would have a space for questions. Now, depending on the moderator, sometimes the moderator will prefer to do questions immediately after your presentation, or sometimes the moderator will prefer to hold questions until everybody else has been done presenting, and so that they can ask of anyone who presented during that panel, right? The idea here is that you're presenting in a room to an audience, and you're presenting for those 10 to 15 minutes, generally with a PowerPoint alongside you, right? So it has a number of different benefits, right? So for example, you can tweak your presentation until the day of, right? We do ask you to send a copy of your PowerPoint to us by March 25th, because that way we can have that loaded in the computer that you're going to be at, so that you don't have to fuss with thumb drives and that sort of stuff, right? You just show up, your presentation will be loaded, you present, you're done, right? So if you have a PowerPoint presentation that's ready, send it to curca@ung.edu. You don't necessarily have to do it. It would just make things a little bit easier. But once again, so this would be a 10 to 15 minute presentation where you would start with the significance of your research. Then you would discuss the things that you've done through your research and your conclusion, right? If you have research that's proposed or research that's ongoing, you can talk about next steps in what you're going to be doing next, what you hope to accomplish in these next steps, that sort of thing, right? So that is an oral presentation, right? The Another type of presentation that's very similar and would be organized in a similar way would be let me go ahead here. Sorry, a paper presentation. A paper presentation is going to be organized in the same way, meaning that you would be placed in a panel with other authors. You would be once again be given 10 to 15 minutes. You would have moderators there to keep track of time so that they would raise a little sign saying that you have 5 minutes left, 3 minutes left, so that you know when it's time to start wrapping up. And the difference between the paper presentation and an oral presentation is that the paper presentation is going to be one where you don't have those PowerPoint slides with you. You are instead reading from your paper, right? It's a type of presentation that's going to be very common in the humanities and history whenever you don't have like a graphic to go along with things. And so you just want to read maybe your English paper, your history paper in front of an audience, right? But the idea here, once again, should be the same general principle of you introducing the topic, why it's important, telling the audience what you did, and then presenting a conclusion within those 10 to 15 minutes to be followed up with questions that can happen either immediately after your presentation or after all presentations are done, depending on the moderator, right? So in this situation here, you don't have to worry about a PowerPoint or preparing any graphical aids other than having your paper and making sure that your paper can be read within that allotted time that we give you. So that is the paper presentation, right? So paper presentation and oral presentations would happen in a similar way. We would create panels of 3 to 4 presentations. We would slot them into a room, assign 1 hour for that panel, and you would present alongside with other students during that 1 hour. The other type of presentation that's also possible at the ARC, and it's going to be a little bit different, is going to be a poster presentation. So we're going to have probably 2 different poster sessions this year. And this poster presentation is going to be one where you create a literal poster. You're going to put that poster on an easel that we'll provide, and you're going to stand by that poster during the poster session, right? And then the idea is that audience members would walk around the room, and then they would stop by the poster and they would ask you about your research. And the idea here then is that you would present your research in a kind of an elevator pitch type of way where you talk for 2 to 5 minutes, right? So you're not going to be talking for 10, 15. You talk for 2 to 5 with the idea that presenters are going to be coming, or the audience members are going to be coming and going through the room, right? So you would be there with some 30 other posters. You would be assigned a specific slot so that people would know where to look for you. And then as you stand by the poster, people come in, ask questions. Maybe they will ask a very general question, say, hey, tell me what you've done. And then you do that 2 to 5 minute pitch. Sometimes they'll come by and they'll see something specific in your poster and they'll have a very specific question. So here, the main idea is that you should create a poster that is easy for people to understand, right? In other words, don't make it too busy where people have to get really up close to be able to read it. Make it something that, you know, people who are passing by can stop, take a look, have a general sense of what you've done, and then ask any questions if necessary, right? It's a very common type of presentation, especially in the sciences, but we're seeing more and more people in history and other fields doing it as well. It allows you to add lots of graphs, visuals, you know, figures, that sort of thing, so that you can display data that's useful to the audience, right? So here you would be expected to stand by your poster for the hour that we assigned you there, and the audience would come and go, right? If you can print your own poster, that's fine. If you want, we can print your poster for you. We just ask you to send us the file by March 21st to curca@ung.edu. It's a PowerPoint where the proportions should be 16 by 9. The printed sides should be 3 feet by 4 feet or 36 by 48. And the file should be in either PowerPoint or PDF format, right? You send it to us, we'll have it printed, and we'll have it ready to go the day of, right? So how do you prepare for your presentation? Well, especially if it's your first presentation ever, it's really important to practice, right? You think that your presentation is going to be like, oh, if I present it like this, it's going to take me 5 minutes. But then the actual day of, you realize, oh my God, I have a lot more to say, and it ends up lasting for 20 minutes. Or sometimes it's the other way around, right? You think, oh, this here is going to take the full 15 minutes. And then as you actually go through it, it ends up being something super short, right? So being able to practice it in front of a friend, in front of your mentors, in front of a mirror, that will give you a sense of how to manage your time as you're getting ready for the ARC, right? And once again, reminding you that oral and paper presentations, you're going to have 10 to 15 minutes. Poster presentations, you should be ready to speak for 2 to 5 minutes as the audience comes by, right? So time management is going to be the key thing. It's the main thing that students or the first-time presenters struggle with, right? They don't really have that experience to know, oh, am I close to my allotted time? Do I have still a lot of time left or not, right? And so being able to practice at least a couple of times so that you have that time management down is super important, right? Uh, Make sure that you keep in mind the deadlines that we have for submitting your PowerPoints or submitting your poster if you want them, if you want us to print them or to load them ahead of time to the conference. And so that is going to be the key here. So besides all of that, here's a few frequently asked questions. What time you should arrive for the ARC? Try to arrive at least 30 minutes before your presentation, because that way we can get you through check-in. We can have you, we can get you your name tag. It's going to make it easy for you to kind of navigate the whole thing if you're not just like rushing at the last minute. So 30 minutes ahead of time. What attire should I wear? We generally talk about business casual, right? It's not mandatory. You can wear something that you're going to be more comfortable in, but business casual is generally the standard. And the last question that we frequently get is that, do I have to send you my poster? Do I have to send you my PowerPoint? No. If you want to just bring it with you the day of, that's fine. The options that we give is just to make things a little bit smoother, right? So if you want us to print it, send it to us by March 21st. If you want us to load it to load a PowerPoint to a computer, send it to us by March 25th, right? Not mandatory, as I said. If you want to bring your poster with you the day of because you've printed it elsewhere, that's fine. If you want to bring your presentation the day of with on a thumb drive, just make sure that you arrive early enough to be able to load it into the computer, right? The last thing that I want to mention is that as we're going to be sending out acceptance notices soon, one of the things that you're going to see in those acceptance notices is a link to a Qualtrics survey. And that Qualtrics survey is going to be a way for you to tell us which times you're not going to be available, right? We can't promise that we're going to assign you to your preferred time, but we try really hard to make sure that when we are building the schedule, we don't assign you to a time that you've told us you can't make it, right? So be on the lookout for that email, fill out that Qualtrics survey so that we can make sure that whatever time we end up assigning to you is a time that will work for you, right? And so to finalize this, just to remind you of the dates, March 29th is the date of the ARC. It's going to be in the Nesbitt building at the Gainesville campus. It will take place between 9 and 3. It's open to all faculty, all students, to the general public. You have family around that you want to bring to the event, that's fine, right? So it's going to be concentrated on the second and third floor of the Nesbitt building in the Gainesville campus. And if you have any questions, if you need to talk to us, if there's something that you would like to discuss that we haven't addressed today, send us an email at curca@ung.edu or reach out to us in any of these other contact information here, right? Come to our offices, reach out to us via social media, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you all so much for being here, and I hope to see you at the ARC.